Welcome to the best irons of 2026. This is a big one. If you've seen any of our previous stuff, this is going to be the most comprehensive iron review on YouTube. If you're looking for a particular brand, we're going to timestamp them in the description by manufacturer. I'm here with Lawrence and James. How are we?
Very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Very good.
Good, looking forward to this one. Big one.
This time of year. Let's just get stuck in. Taylormade, we're going to cover all the irons, kind of give a bit of information as to who they're for and who should maybe play them. P7CB, let's kick off with a good one.
P7CB, it's all of a sudden in Rory McIlroy's bag.
Straight off the bat, isn't it?
This has been like a really clever thing. So Taylormade's line is really complete.
Yeah.
So we go from a Taylormade, like a P7CB, we then move into a P770. Yep. There's a P790. We then go into the new QI and a QI HL iron, or sorry, QI Max and Max HL iron.
Yep.
There's also the TW Blade. So Taylormade have got lots and lots of different types of product, and it covers like such a broad base of customer.
Huge, isn't it?
Absolutely gigantic. So we'll go from like P7CB, which is that like single piece forged head, feels lovely. There's loads of loft. It's really quite easy to get the ball up in the air because there's loft.
Yep.
Big thing with this iron, they used to have an MC iron,
yep,
which didn't really have a place. It was almost too small to be.
Yeah.
It was too small to be a cavity back, and it was too big to be a blade.
It was in a little bit of no man's land, wasn't it?
It was kind of
Fractionally lost, right?
It was kind of in its own space, yeah. So like the CB head, CB's a CB. This is then quite. It has an element of forgiveness, but it still looks really clean off the top. It's large enough to be forgiving, or forgiving enough for that type of head, but small enough to be really playable.
Rory McIlroy's interview was quite interesting, where he's like, if there's help there to be had, and he's not losing any control with it, otherwise he wouldn't go anywhere near it.
Exactly.
If there's help there to be had, he's going to take it.
Definitely.
P770, Lawrence.
Yeah, like the 770's been a great iron in previous generations, like the 760, etc., and coming through now. It's just that amalgamation of a really good player's iron look, yep, with a fair bit of help and love in there. It's got their split sole coming in from sort of 6 iron up, so those longer irons are just much easier to hit. Plenty of loft on there, and I've found through fitting that it just retains a lot of spin, and typically that sort of hollow bodied iron previously has always come out a little bit hotter, a little bit less spinny than others. And yeah, you know, for me it's been a great one. You can either add it into the top end of a set of CBs if you wanted to. It can go very nicely into a bottom end of P790s, and it can also really stand alone. It's a great all-round product.
It is the blend of your kind of player's iron in the P7CB and the kind of player's distance iron in the P790. And we'll touch on P790 next.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
P790 is really a kind of legacy product by now. You know, came out in like 2017.
Yeah.
And the formula really hasn't changed that much because it doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to.
So we've got essentially chunky boy technology wrapped up into a smaller package. So you've got what would be, you know, a kind of game improvement type of head wrapped up into something that it's got a wee bit narrower sole. It's a more kind of smaller head overall.
It's a more palatable look, isn't it?
Aye, absolutely. But there's plenty speed behind that.
Yeah.
So the guy who's kind of looking at like P790, it's really easy to get that ball out there. There's a little bit of enhanced distance, because it's going to spin a little bit less at the same time. There's loads of ball speed with that ball speed story. If having a kind of a hollow body design, then sort of filled with like speed foam, it's been a really good product for us, and will continue to be so.
It's one of our best products year on year.
Yeah, and it's really helped that they've just not gone away from what was really good generationally with the product. They've just refined it, made it that little bit more consistent. I think, you know, certain people when they were coming in for fits previously were potentially looking at, it can sometimes get a little hot off the face. Not seen any of that this time around.
They've adapted it.
It's been such a good product.
It's kind of 5th iteration, but it's easy to say, but it's the best iteration.
Yeah, definitely.
Going more into your kind of game improver ones, you've got QI Max and QI Max HL. Tell us a little bit about them. What are they for?
They've done a lot of work with these ones.
Yeah.
So this I think for Taylormade can be a category that can almost get a little bit lost. but they've put an awful lot of emphasis and effort into this product. So normally the kind of game improver type heads, they're all super strong in loft. The distance story is massive. Yeah. But depending on a golfer's ball flight, that's either really quite a good thing, or what we tend to find is it's actually not. Yeah. So having a head which has got more loft and being a bit more user friendly to get that ball up in the air, that's massive.
I do a lot of iron fittings, and having that HL string to pull on is so much more useful, because you get a little bit more spin, you get a little bit more natural peak height, and someone going into that club typically needs a little bit more speed and going up the way.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, the new sort of way in which the manufacturers on whole are adding these HL options in is much more beneficial for us as fitters across the board, because, like you said, the golfer that typically wants or needs to go into that product needs that little bit of help getting it up, but also the tech that they have in the QI iron is just, it gives you loads of speed again, and they need that speed and that elevation from the loft. So great set of irons again.
Taylormade again, much like the Woods, much like the hybrids, they're going to have a good year.
They just cover all the bases, right, very well, and yeah, be interesting to see where they get to.
So moving on to Callaway, there's a lot of Callaway irons out there.
Are we ready?
I'm going to split this into categories.
Go on then.
That'll be easy.
Your players distance, and then your kind of slightly more game improver ones. So your players ones, I would consider the single piece. So the likes of your X Forged. X Forged Max is kind of a slightly different standalone, but your other ones being Apex, MB, and CB. Tell us a bit about them.
So Apex, sorry, not Apex, Callaway X Forged first.
Yeah.
This was one that actually kind of came out on the Japanese tour. So it was a Japan only head. Yeah. That it was a wee bit like lightning in a bottle. It was a head that worked really well on sort of Japanese tour, then into like LPGA tour. A whole load of guys on the PGA tour wanted that, and that's then kind of brought it back over like into mainstream retail.
Great sole.
It's brilliant. So there's a kind of new sole shape with this one here. It's like a triple cut sole. Yep. It's a very clean looking head. They feel excellent, and it's just a really great CB type iron. And then going in from there, going into the kind of Apex line, we'd almost call this like the kind of technology story. There's a bit more going on with this one. So the kind of back badges for us when we're actually building them are interchangeable with like different weights. I think to make it heavier, lighter, whatever it might be. The bit that says Apex in the back, that's a tool that we can go and play about with.
What have you got in that Apex range?
Well, we have an Apex CB, we've got an Apex MB, we've got an Apex CB. We then actually keep on going up the way into kind of players' distance irons. There's a couple in between things, all the way to like full blown game improvement. So there's an AI 150, an AI 200, and an AI 300. So the 150 is kind of like a sort of transitional type product. It's a head that's very Callaway like. So if you go back the way into some like a kind of a Callaway X16 Pro series that was ultimately a kind of game improvement type head, but then wrapped up into like a little bit smaller package. All of that old Pro series, that's what I see straight away into like AI 150.
Very similar to a P790 sort of esque, isn't it?
Yes, but just with a wee bit more life about it at the same time. Like they've been great to go and fit with.
200's been a really good one for us.
Yeah, 200 is a wee bit sort of stronger in loft, but it's again a very clean looking head. It's not too big, is it?
No. I think that's a good story for the whole Apex line. It's been super clean. It's very good looking in the bag, and actually I found that they blend quite well.
There's a story model to model, isn't there?
Exactly. So it's been very easy to fit with the whole line across the board. I think we touched on that X Forged, and the X Forged Max I think is a really good introduction to the line. We've had quite a few successes already with it in the bays down in Chesterfield. It's one of those products that gives you sort of like that forgiving feel and aspects of hitting the golf shot, but actually it's so soft as well. And like you said, that tri-cut sole, it's been sort of tried and tested on tour now, and I think a lot of people are looking to have a go with it and so on. And ultimately, just being able to try it on a more game improvement iron, that sort of more forgiving product, is definitely something that Callaway have hit on there. I think that their Apex range and their X Forged has been a phenomenal product line again.
And then to kind of finish off that Callaway range, you've got Quantum Max and Quantum Max OS. They're very similar, if not identical lofts. What's the difference between the two of them?
These are Callaway irons. These are very, very much like old school Callaway irons.
In their DNA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aye, it's definitely in that sort of DNA. These move on really quite nicely off the back of like AI 300.
Yeah.
To circle back the way, AI 300 is a slightly stronger version of the 200. So it's a slightly larger head, slightly stronger loft, slightly less spin, bit more of a sort of rocket launcher type head. But again, in a kind of classy looking package. And then going into Quantum, the thing I really like about these is it looks like how a Callaway iron always used to look like.
Yeah.
You can see a bit of top line, a little bit of the kind of rounding, a wee bit sort of rounding with a toe.
It's definitely got the Callaway personality.
Aye, there's
You'd almost go back to say it's a proper Big Bertha iron, right?
Yeah.
It's very much that sort of esque and ilk of what they've had in their sort of background and sort of repertoire for so long in making really good irons at that level of golfer. And they're just so powerful, and like the OS, I find the OS just so easy to get up in the air.
Yeah,
it's been
lower CG, dragged back a little bit. That's what the oversized does.
And the loft just helps keep the pace on the ball, right? For that player who's looking for it just to pop up with a bit of speed, it's such a good iron.
I think what we've seen with like that type of iron as well is going back into last year's product into like Elite, that same type of head, because it was like so strong.
Yeah.
The golfer who on paper that product was designed for didn't actually have the speed to get the ball up in the air. Yeah. So again, we always do really well with like HL models that have got more loft, but as soon as you go into something that's like stronger lofted, the person who needs that, the ball doesn't fly the way it needs to fly. So if we have a golfer who hits the ball relatively low, we need to get that ball up in the sky, because ball flight, if it's too low, land angle's then too shallow and there's too much run out.
Everything just blends.
Yeah, so whilst the total distance looks really quite clever, carry is one thing, total's another. If you're hitting a shot into a green, you can't actually get the ball to stop. So a lot of these kind of game improvement type irons, they're actually not all that clever in getting the ball to stop. But this year, this is when I think the pennies finally dropped with these companies, that we now have game improvement irons that have got a bit more kind of help to get the ball up in the air for that golfer who maybe doesn't have the speed in the first place, and it's then making that category much better.
They've definitely all learned from sort of a few previous generations where it's just coming out far too hot now, and ultimately the story of speed behind irons isn't what we're after. Like, golfers do need to look at the sort of functionality, that land angle, the spin profile, what's the distance between where that ball hits the ground and where it stops. No one wants to have to budget for the bunker at the front of the green. No. Ultimately, we never get there anyway, right? So we do need to look at that, and I think that OS model's been great for Callaway this season. It's
done really well.
What are you putting Quantum Max OS up against in the bay?
So that's going to go against new Srixon ZXi R HL. That one is going to go against things like the Quantum, not Quantum at all. It's going to go against QI Max HL.
The Mizuno Hot Metal High Launch.
Yeah, good one.
That's been a great one for us. So yeah, those sorts of ilk of products where the loft's a little bit high, or a little bit higher, and the speed's built there in the head, right?
Yeah, good. Moving on to Titleist and their range. Really quite simple with Titleist. You've got your 620s and you've got your T series. What's in each of them, Laurence?
So your 620s, you've got your MBs and your CBs, and they are just your traditional Titleist products.
Gorgeous.
Right? They haven't changed other than some sort of little nuances within there. They're a tried and tested product, and they will last the test of time. There's not a lot you can do with them,
that's why they've not changed,
but there's not a lot you want to do with them. I think for me, the main advances they've made this year are sort of in their T series range. You've got the 100, 150, 250, 250 launch spec and 350. For me, out of that family, I'm a big fan of the T250 Star. That launch spec has been
sensible loft. Like, again, it goes back to irons have been kind of designed to go forward for so long that we kind of need the ball to spin with an iron. Like you say, the penny's finally dropped. That T250 launch spec is a really good weapon. Yeah,
it's really good, and we found a lot of people have put it in the bag. You know, it's a very sensible size. It looks really good at address. That extra bit of loft has almost taken away a little bit of the top line, so it looks really clean at address as well. And it's a little bit lighter, so it has that sort of additional variability that you can put more shafts in it, and we can build it to a better sort of spec for a broader spectrum of golfers. That's been sort of like the main big addition for me within that T series range.
100?
100's been great.
Yep.
So you could, like, echoing what Laurence has said, like having like 620 has not changed for 5 years, and there's no plan for it to change either, because, you know, a blade's a blade, a CB's a CB.
It doesn't need to change.
It just doesn't need to change. So every single bit of technology then goes into T series. So every time there's a new T series out, there's a jump. So T100 now is a bit of a legacy product. We've had this type of head for a good few years, but being able to kind of, you know, move tungsten around the place, just tweak the soles a little bit, get it to be like really clever. It's a really good tour type cavity back iron. And it just feels fantastic.
And that little bit of extra forgiveness that they've just put in the top few irons has just been so revolutionary for some golfers who sometimes may have had to have blended like a T150 in with the 100s. Now they can play straight 100s all the way through, keep the aesthetics the same. It's big jump on the T100s.
What would you put T100 up against in the bay?
So T100 has really got to go against something like
P7CB, right?
P7CB, yeah.
Yeah, ZXi 7, something like that. But there's just so many, right, James?
There's tons and
it's
tons,
tough to pick.
What are you
10.
What are you putting T250 launch spec up against?
Tough.
It's hard, isn't it?
I don't think there's actually anything in that sort of hollow-bodied arena that has that volume of loft on. Not that I can think of or have seen.
P770's in there.
It's a degree or so short, but that's the only one I can think of. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you've got T250, the normal one. Yeah. That's kind of like if you wanted to put it up against something in P790.
Yeah.
Tell us about the 350.
So the 350 is just they're stronger lofted, much longer heel to toe, slightly shorter top to bottom profile line. It's definitely a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But I've found that it brings that traditional Titleist feel to it as well. Slightly softer than some of the bigger hollow-bodied irons that we've got in the fitting bay.
Sounds a lot better, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I really like
than previous models. It sounds a lot better than they've worked on that.
They really have, yeah. I really like how it's an all-enclosed head.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a badge that's then been added on the back. I think going back the way into like some previous generations, you know, T200 and, you know, T300 and 350, or old T350, they kind of sound like a little bit clicky off the face because of that back badge had then been stuck at the back. Exactly. Yeah, sound is so much to do with feel that when we now have that head, which is kind of all encompassed, it sounds much better. It's lost that kind of clicky type feel that golfers have got to kind of get over in that sort of type of product, and they just sound and feel much better as a result of that. It's really good.
Super. Yeah. Mizuno. Nothing feels like a Mizuno.
17 million options from Mizuno this year.
Put into two clear kind of product lines.
Yep.
You've got Mizuno Pro.
Yes.
And then you've got the JPX range. Do you want Pro or do you want JPX? What line are you going to take? Tell me about Pro.
Pro's obviously a very traditional Mizuno player's product historically. So you go from the S1, the S3, and then now you've got the M13, M15 that sit within that new sort of Pro series. And ultimately the transition between all of them has been very clean. You can now blend them a little bit better than you have done previously. I think from my testing, the M13 has been a phenomenal product in what we're going to put into the bays. It's fast, it's very, very aesthetically pleasing from the top line. And again, it's not massively strong in loft in comparison to sort of like its other counterparts in that sort of same category. So yeah, that's going to be really good. The 15 is a hollow body product. Again, it feels like a Mizuno, right? It has that very soft acoustic to it.
Yeah.
That forged face on there just really gives it that sort of softer feel than you get from some of the other hollow body irons out there on the market. So yeah, that Pro range has been really, really successful.
Your S1 and S3, they're your kind of MB, CB compatriots, aren't they?
Plan for that is again for that to run for really quite a long time. That you can then have the CB and MB as the sort of staple in the range because they don't need to change. And then the M series, that's maybe the one that you add a bit more technology into.
Yeah.
And then that sort of bleeds in really quite nicely to JPX.
So you kind of touched on the M13 and M15. It's kind of what are you then comparing that against?
So for like the M13, M15 for me is like your P770, your P790 sort of comparison. You've got your sort of players distance irons within there. And yeah, you could probably almost bring in one of the JPX ranges into that sort of same category as well. So
tell us about JPX then.
So there's loads of them. It's a really, really complete line as well. So we've got a JPX Forged. So JPX Forged is slightly longer in blade length. There's a little bit of help, a wee bit sort of help hidden under the hood, but it, again, feels very, very solid. Sensible on the loft, but easy to play, easy to get the ball up in the air. Then we move into the hot metals. So we've got hot metal, we have hot metal high launch, and we've got hot metal pro as well. So hot metal pro is a slightly neater version of hot metal. So again, on the slightly stronger side of things, full blown hot metal rocket launchers, easy to get going for really quite a long way. But because they're really quite strong on the loft, it's maybe like one of these ones we won't do as much of those because again, ball flight is really key. But that then kind of comes back the way to the hot metal high launch. Hot metal high launch we do really, really well with because that golfer who's maybe the game improver who needs a little bit of help with a lot of other previous product that was so strong, hot metal high launch was a go-to because you can have a head that's designed for what that golfer needs it to do, but we've then got a loft that's more sensible. So we've got a head that's got some forgiveness, but a loft that's going to get that ball up in the air.
You touched on it. We do really well with Mizuno hot metal high launch because of ball flight. Ball flight's the main thing we're looking at in a fitting when you're actually getting fitted. Hot metal is it's kind of the stronger, bigger sibling, really.
Bit more oomph.
Bit more oomph, It's the fastest of the Mizunos.
Definitely.
But we comfortably do more of the high launch.
And it's very interesting because that, like, when people actually physically see it go out on the range, they can define the two very, very quickly, especially when they might not see it addressed, but when the ball's gone out the bays, it's very, very easy to see the difference between the two products.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like when we also fit using like 468 and pitching wedge. If we need a bit of a cheating stick or like a wee bit additional speed when we get into like that longer iron product, it's quite easy to add in. Like there's lots of options there.
100%.
And then when we get down to the bottom end of the bag, if that needs to be cleaned up a little bit or made a little bit smaller, we can transition these things in really easily. So it makes fitting life very, very simple. Using
Mizuno's a great all-round product run this year.
Loads of stuff.
Loads of stuff. Moving on to Ping. What have Ping got to offer this year?
So if you start at sort of like the players end, you've got the Blueprint T and S, which are two very, very so good to look at.
The T, if you were to pick one, it's the nicest looking.
He's a wee guy,
isn't it? Tiny. I wouldn't fancy my chance.
I mean, I wouldn't like to play it myself because I'd probably be knee knocking a little bit. But the T and S, I think for me, they're great products in the fact that there's some Ping irons that really do hold their spin really, really well. Very little offset. You could blend them either way if you wanted to, and you could play one or the other, and actually you wouldn't see massive difference in terms of forgiveness. Then they transition into the I240, which is, for me, I struggled a little bit with fittings with a 230. It didn't quite spin enough off the face. This has been a really good improvement.
Yeah.
They've definitely leaped forward with the i240. It spins much more than it used to, and it retains spin on sort of missed strikes as well, which is typically a problem that you see in that category sometimes with players and irons. But yeah, for me, those sort of first 3 irons within there have been really a big improvement and definitely ones to watch in that sort of category.
So the blueprints are kind of your MBCB. i240 is a little bit different. What are you putting that up against in the bay, James?
i240, I suppose, is like a very slightly larger version, like a P7CB.
Bit T150-ish.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah. So it's a head that's got a bit of life.
Yep.
It's got an appropriate amount of size. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's that like happy middle ground. But like i240 has been really good fun to go and fit with.
Yeah. Tell us about G440, James.
So G440 is it's really their kind of like big ping iron.
Yeah.
So we've always had a kind of G series iron. They're always again on that sort of stronger side. There's 3 different sort of loft specs. We've got a retro spec.
Yep.
There's a kind of core and there's a kind of power spec loft as well. So it's a slightly larger footprint of iron. It's really easy to use.
Yeah.
And again, it goes really quite a long way, but it always has to come back to like, what does a golfer then need that to look like?
Totally.
It's definitely got that footprint that's sort of really confidence inspiring. You look down at it, it's a nice large head shape, nice broad sole. Just for the guy who's struggling a little bit potentially with his irons, it's definitely something to put in their hands. Yeah. And like you said, we typically do quite a lot of the retro spec product when we do it. It's just trying to get that golf ball up a little bit. But like I said, story of the day for most irons. If you're a golfer that wants to try and shape the ball, put a little draw on it, bit of fade, it's not the iron for you.
Totally.
If you're a golfer trying to look for an iron just to get it forwards and as straight as you physically can, it's a great option in there, right? Yeah, really.
So going on to Srixon, one of my favourites. Srixon have...
What a year they had.
What a year.
Phenomenal year.
Yeah.
You got ZXi range, Z Forged. James, tell us a bit about what they have to offer.
So they have a whole host of different iron heads. So we'll go from the Z Forged 2 blade.
Yep.
So we'll go from there. We then go into a ZXi 7, a ZXi 5, and a ZXi 4. Yep. There's a couple of new guys just around the corner as well. ZXi R and an HL head as well.
Bit of a couple of babies now, aren't they?
Aye. There's a lot of letters and numbers with all these things, aren't there?
So tell us about the blade. I think it's one of the most forgiving blades on the market.
Yeah, there's a soul story with all these irons. So Srixon have had a thing called a Tour V sole for really quite a long time, and it's very much how does that head interact through the ground. So if somebody's steeper or shallower, is there going to be a sole that's going to be more suited? Absolutely, there is. So the Tour V sole, it's not necessarily one that's going to be for everyone, but it's one that's had really good traction this sort of past year on tour. JJ Spawn winning a major, that's absolutely fantastic. It's huge for Srixon.
Shane Lowry's got
Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, yep, all these.
And it's almost inspired some of the others to put these tri-soles out there as well. I think definitely
much more of that kind of sole design, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us about ZXi 7 and ZXi 5.
So ZXi 7 and 5, just a great move on from the Mach 2 versions. Mm-hmm. They are super soft in feel, both irons and product. For me, I think you look at how they can blend together now. I think at address, they seamlessly transition from one to another if you're looking at like a combo set. I personally play the 5s. I like that little bit of help, but at address, I can't really tell the difference between the 7s and 5s. And I think that's a super unique position to be in when you've got such a forgiving iron like the 5 and then such a very playable iron like the 7, being able to sit them side by side and play both in a transition if you needed to. In what I can only describe as one of the softest sets of irons in the base.
It has to be. ZXi 4 is going to be slightly faster.
That's going to be your hollow body type iron.
A little bit more technology.
Technology is a good word, yes, aye. a wee bit stronger on loft. There's definitely a wee bit less spin with this. This is the one that if a golfer needs a little bit more oomph, a bit more distance, you're going to find that from that head.
Option.
You're going to find that partly because there's a wee bit less spin, partly because it's a little bit stronger loft. But just the head, this is what the head's designed to go and do. So it's that hollow body type iron. It's still plenty forgiving. It still has that Tour V sole all the way through. But this is one that if we need a bit more oomph, there's definitely more to be had.
Tell us about ZXi R. Is that a new material? Is that a new design? What's the story there?
So ZXi R is going to be a cast head. Forging and casting, it's a different manufacturing process. So with these irons, we're going to have something which is a little bit larger, but we're going to have something that's got some loft about it at the same time. So they're going to be a simple iron to play that the Tour V sole continues all the way through. The HL head, kind of like we're going to echo this with lots of different companies. The HL head is the bigger head, but there's a bit of loft and it's quite easy to get the ball up in there. This is going to be a really good one to get into.
And I think for that guy who gets a little steep and takes the loft off, the V sole and that
combined with the HL head.
ZXi R HL is going to be really good and popular, and it's slightly longer in blade length than a few of the other models that they've got in there. So again, that confidence-inspiring footprint that they've probably needed a little bit of.
The new one you're going to put up against the likes of a QI Max and Max HL, that kind of iron, hot metal high launch.
Something like
different sole design, but same
little cleaner look as well. Personally,
yeah, I would agree with that. Cobra are going to have an interesting year with irons, 3D printed.
Aye, so this is a kind of technology that they've been using for quite a few years now at a different kind of price point certainly. They found a way to take all the good bits from either a sort of game improvement type head or a kind of player's distance type head and wrap it up into like a muscle back. And so we kind of first saw this with like the 3DP. This has then been sort of extended. There's now a muscle back iron. This is going to be a really interesting year for Cobra.
So you've got MB, Tour and X. So what they're basically saying is that the MB is the size of an MB, but it's the forgiveness of the King Tour from last year. The Tour is this, obviously it's the size of the Tour, but it's the forgiveness of what they said the King Tech X was. And then the X is the size of the X, and then it's as forgiving as the likes of your DS Adapt and stuff like that. So they're taking the forgiveness from the perceived Game Improver ones and just putting it into a smaller version, just with the technology that they're putting into it. They've also got King and King Max. That's your kind of standard one, kind of cast head again, a little bit more Game Improver, and then King Max is your, like you like to say, get up in the air juice model.
Yeah, the higher launch version. And the 3D printed ones, it's going to be really interesting to put those up against things in the bay, because ultimately I think a lot of golfers always want to have that sort of smaller looking iron that's like cleaner looking, but if you can pack all that forgiveness of a couple of models easier into these smaller packages, I think they're going to have a great year with these irons.
It's just a case of getting it in people's hands, isn't it?
I think
it's going to be a really interesting year for Cobra. Wilson irons. What have we got there?
There's a couple of classy guys in here. Wilson are definitely having a year. So we have a new MB, there's a new CB, there's one called XB as well. So muscle back and cavity back. Wilson have been at this for really quite a long time now, and it's been refined and refined and refined, and we've got this really solid product. So again, muscle back and cavity back, we're not going to change things dramatically. The way that this is designed, there's a little bit more weight over towards the toe, so the center of gravity is kind of moved a little bit more from the heel over towards the sort of toe side. So it's really centering up the CG, and then going into the XB head. This is then in that like Taylormade P790.
It's the hollow body offering, isn't it?
This is going to be really quite interesting to test this in the studio this year.
Lifetime ago, an old job ago, I had a set of Wilson Staff V6s.
They were in your bag a long time, I remember.
That's a great set of sticks.
They were amazing. I think this is going to be, it's going to be a one I'm really looking forward to test, going up against my ZXi 7s. Very different kind of sole, but it's going to be one that I'm certainly going to be looking at this year. I'm excited for staff model. You've also got Dynapwr and Dynapwr Forged. What's the story there?
These are the big guys.
Yeah.
So Dynapwr is always that longer distance story type iron.
It's their powerhouse, isn't it?
It's their powerhouse, yeah. Like unashamedly strong in terms of loft. This is for the golfer who really just wants to hit the ball further.
It's their Quantum Max.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Like going back the way, and this conversation keeps on going round and round and round. The golfer who's in that wants to hit the ball further, and they go further, but they don't necessarily fly in the same. They don't necessarily fly in the same sort of way that total's going to be quite long. Carry in relative terms is on the shorter side. This doesn't have the stopping power, but equally it's not really designed like that.
No,
it doesn't pretend that it's anything else.
Its function isn't to be that stopping golf club. Its
Yep.
function is to be that long iron, right? Get that ball from A to B as fast as possible with the shortest iron as possible, and it's going to tick that box very, very well for that type of golfer.
It's going to do well. Getting into some of the Japanese brands again, we've got Miura. Your eyes lit up here. Yours go at Woods. Yours go at Miura irons.
Oh, where to start?
There's tons of stuff. The beginning,
Ah,
MB 101.
it's just a stunning one-piece golf club.
It
like
is.
the MB 101. Had a little half set in there last night for the victory for Justin Rose.
Nice.
It's a super traditional product, and I think what Miura do so well is just make a very beautiful functional iron.
Yeah.
And they can transition between one another, especially if you're going into like that TC202 as well. That there's so much you could talk about Miura in terms of feel, how they look, how they interact with the ground. Like they are just a great sort of all-round product. For me, that sort of 101, 202, just in my bag straight away, please.
CB302 again, you could put in that same category. They're all phenomenal. And it's all about that forging, the feel, how they're made, the process. Just a nice iron to hit.
Yeah,
KM700's a little bit of a different shape. Talk to us about that.
So KM700 is a really, really interesting iron. This was Miura-san's last iron that he made, and again it's all the things that have made Miura irons brilliant in the past that's then sort of all come together with this head. So again, the look is a little bit different, but the shape of the sole is a little bit different, but it definitely feels like a Miura iron off the face.
And it's so consistent off the face. In terms of ball speed and distance, for a blade, it is very much I'd throw it out there. It's one of the most forgiving blades I've tested, right? Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, and heel, toe, high, low, it's super consistent. Yeah, really, really good iron.
Comes in a raw head as well. That's going to be hard to...
And a copper finish
There's
as
a
well, I believe.
couple of new finishes. Yeah, I think the raw finish will be filthy.
Something that 2 or 3 years ago Miura came out with, IC602. We'll get into that. It's a little bit more technology in it. It's not a traditional Miura iron. No. Tell us about it.
So it's their hollow-bodied offering.
Yeah.
We've seen the irons market expand in this area over a period of time, and ultimately, if you don't have one, you're lagging behind fractionally potentially. And it's an introduction that they've put in there, and it delivers, across the board, and it actually gives you that soft Miura feel. Not quite to the same extent as their sort of single-piece forgings, but it's definitely one of the softer hollow-bodied irons that we have in the studios.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's one of those. It is the softest.
Yeah.
Certainly when you're hitting it, and certainly when you're bending it. Just a phenomenal iron. Bit of technology. Just puts Miura on a different part of the map.
It opens them up to more golfers, right? And ultimately, again, it gives us, having the 468 and pitch and wedge in the studio, gives us that ability, if you are in there for sort of like a cheeky little set of TC202s or something like that, you might have a 4 or 5 iron in there just to help you get the ball up and out there a little bit in the long set.
A little bit of life, yeah.
VEGA, in the same kind of vein as Miura, you've got VEGA. Should we start with the ASS? Special steel.
They're lovely. They're very, very nice. They're small, but they feel absolutely sensational.
Intimidating on a cold Sunday Scottish morning.
Not 6 iron down the way. 6 iron down's okay, but
the 4 irons are
the four's a wee guy.
Gorgeous.
He's a wee little nudger. I'd be afraid of hitting the hosel on that one. But across the board, they've come up with a great set of irons. Yeah. That SS it does pack a punch as well for its size. It definitely performs over and above its sort of stature in terms of size and shape. And
that and the KM700 would be an interesting shootout.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think with the VEGA irons, like having that interchangeable weight that you can move in like internally in the head, that's massive. So you can really kind of dial in like what do you need it to look like. Yeah. That's been a really good variable that we have for fitting. We then sort of go into like the CBs and the MB heads.
From Mizar, isn't it?
Mizar Pro. Yep. Mizar Pro, Mizar CB. Yes.
Undistinguishable address as well. They blend so seamlessly, aesthetically. Very, very nice in the bag. That MB is super clean. Very, very. The milled back on there is really, really good. And then the CB just has that marginally wider sole that you don't notice at address, but actually with the fact it's got the weight port down there as well, just makes it that little bit easier just to help the ball get up in the air. And again, just a super soft feel. And
something a little bit different in VEGA Lyra. What's the story behind Lyra?
Lyra's just a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more life behind Lyra. So if you
go a little bit more up the way, isn't it?
If you miss it a little bit, it doesn't want to hurt your feelings. It's quite an easy one to use, but same sort of thing. It's that like really soft. It's that really soft like Japanese feel. Yeah. They're excellent.
It's good that it's got a little bit of loft as well. So again, you don't need to worry about it going too flat. It is sensible. Not powerful, but it has more power than the other irons. Totally. But it definitely helps the ball get up in the air.
Yeah.
EPON, sticking on the kind of Japanese now, Japanese iron manufacturers, EPON, AF Tour, gorgeous iron. You've got 307, 507 and 707.
Yes.
Tell us about those. What's the story behind them?
So AF Tour is their sort of CB iron head.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Really soft. A CB's a CB. There's not loads that you can.
Is there a version of a P7 CB
you can kind of move around? Yeah, but with all these things, like with the VEGAs, with the Miuras, and we have PROTO concept as well. All these different types of irons, they just need to be hit. Yeah. I think we can all get like really quite excited with these videos, talking about craftsmanship and all this sort of stuff. But there's something extra in these that you only feel when you actually hit the ball. Yeah. And it's definitely an iron.
Yeah.
You have to hit.
Yeah, so with the EPONs, they get gradually easier as you go through the 307, 507 and 707. And naturally, like James has said, you've just got to hit them as you go through the range. Yeah, totally. It's they offer something that, whether it be the geometry of a golf club or the shaft, etc., they offer something different than what your standard manufacturers are going to give you. And then certainly it's last, but certainly no means least, the PROTO concepts, another phenomenal iron. A little bit of technology in there, again, kind of go up with the numbers. You've got CO1, CO3, CO5 and CO7. But is it fair to say they get faster as the numbers get higher?
A little bit, yeah. So PROTO concept, they come from the Endo forging house in Japan as well, which is exactly where EPON come from. Yeah. So it's in that same sort of vein. They feel really good. And again, there's just a slightly different sole design here as well. So this is something that we've talked about this earlier on in this video. There's lots of different manufacturers chasing turf interaction. Yeah. And certain companies do things in a slightly different way, and PROTO concepts do exactly that. So it's a different take on like a triple cut sole. Yeah. Same sort of thing when you put that club down behind the ball, the head just wants to kind of hug the ground. It's a really clean looking, it's a really clean set of looking heads. It's
like a very soft pre-worn leading edge, isn't it, that gets that front of the golf club really low to the deck. The ability we've got to take that club from the mat onto the grass, these are the kind of clubs that you notice that feel a little bit more of the turf interaction when you get out there.
Definitely. I think going up the way into the kind of 5s and 7s, probably more so the 7, because it's a larger type of head, if you put that against any other like larger cavity back type head, the sole's totally different. This one has got loft, and it's not necessarily shouting about how far it goes. It's a forgiving head, a forgiving looking head, but it's a head that's got some loft, it's got some spin, it's very clever down through the ground, so same sort of thing. It's a really, really complete line that anyone can use.
It almost offers that golfer who needs that help and forgiveness that opportunity to play a full forged golf club and have that really soft feel that ultimately they'd struggle to get at that sort of forgiveness profile anywhere else.
I'd agree with that, yeah. So what we're going to do now, we're going to pick our 1 iron each for high, mid and low handicappers. Lawrence, we'll start with you. First pick for high handicapper in the iron category.
Oh, I'm just going to go steal the Mizuno Hot Metal High Launch. I'm really sorry, boys.
We're going to say that.
It won last year as well.
For me, it's quick. It launches it really well.
Yeah.
It's a great product.
I really have to say the same thing. So we've had a year of this already. It will be tough to put that up against anything else. Other manufacturers are definitely trying. This is a big thing we've seen this year, but Mizuno in that category is really that front runner.
Yeah. I'll preface this with, I think you're right. I'm going to chuck in something else into the mix. Taylormade have worked really hard on that category of product, QI Max HL. Something that kind of chucks the ball up in the air, feels nice. I'm going to put that in the mix, and I think I've got a lot of faith in that product this year.
Fair enough.
Mid-handicap, James, you can go first. What is going to be the iron for the mid-handicap player?
There's so many, isn't there?
Where to start?
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Where we're going to begin, I think
Is it fair to say it's probably a player's distance iron?
I'd think so. This is like one of these things. There's so many answers.
Yeah.
And you just have to hit them. I know this is a complete politician answer. I'm dancing
Get off
around.
that fence.
I'm gonna say Taylormade P790.
Yeah.
But it could look like so many different answers. This is a really, really competitive space.
Definitely.
I'm going to go next because I know what Lawrence is going to say. I'm not going to steal it. I'm not going to steal it. I think mid-handicap, I'm going to say ZXi 5. A continuation again of last year, a really strong product. Something that feels amazing. I play ZXi 7s, but ZXi 5, something that feels amazing and it covers a lot of people.
Yeah.
What are you picking?
T250 Star.
Yeah.
It's
just good, isn't it?
It's just great. And for me, for that mid-handicapper, it almost eradicates that sort of gap wedge requirement with a pitch wedge up at 47 degrees.
So sensible.
Srixon's got loads of loft, and they've figured it out, right? They don't need a 4-iron anymore. So 5 to wear, great set.
Probably playing that kind of hybrid to get that ball up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, low handicap. I'll go first this time. I'll take it off yous. Low handicap. I think the Rory McIlroy influence is going to be hard to see past. But I'm going to go Mizuno S3. I think that's going to be a brilliant iron. Was at the back end of last year. It's going to be good going into this year. I'm going to take Mizuno S3, Mizuno Pro S3. James, what are you taking?
That was a big inhale there, James.
It was.
It's a big thought. Big thought.
I've got like five that are like floating around the place. I think the Taylormade P7CB. Taylormade P7CB has been brilliant to fit with. It feels really solid.
Yeah.
And I think it's again a very complete iron that lower handicap golfer will do very well with. I
know what I want to say, but for me, I'm probably going to go with the ZXi 7. I think it's a great iron all round, great feel, and typically it's just probably one of the better players irons that we have in the day.
Yeah, and we could have said any of that kind of.
I mean, I wanted to say Miura TC202, but
that's what we'll get on to next. You're going to build your own set.
Oh, go on then.
Are you going to have a set of TC202s?
100%. Are you going to
split the set? What are you going to do?
I'm going to split the set with a set of 101s.
Oh, nice.
6-iron.
Ooh, 6-iron being the blade?
Yeah, why not?
James?
I have no idea.
Too much choice. It's like being in a sweet shop.
Exactly. There's just it's really good to have choice
and
be able to like dig. If I wanted to pick based on like what I just really like. I think the Proto concept, Proto concept CO3. I think that's a really good iron.
Really good.
That'd be what would go into my bag.
I think for me, if money wasn't an object and ability wasn't an object, VEGA SS special steel. I think it's just the nicest looking iron in that room. We've done a review on it, and I hit it in there, and it feels amazing. It really does. Looks amazing, looks the part.
6 iron to pitch and wedge.
4 iron to pitch and wedge. I'll mishit it all day. It's fine.
Just like you, small and powerful.
Exactly. No, amazing. Thanks, guys, for your time. Great conversation around irons. Hopefully that's helped you make a decision, or at least informed you a little bit. If you want to come and see one of us, Laurence at Chesterfield, James at Edinburgh, or myself, Aaron, at Glasgow, get onto the website, book in, and we'll see you very soon.